Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Al-Qur'an, Al-Qur'an, Al-Qur'an. How much have you recited so far? How much are you planning to recite? What is your connection with the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to meet Jibreel every night of Ramadan. فَيُدَارِسُهُ الْقُرْآنِ, and he would revise with him the Qur'an, and this would take place every night. The Sahaba would strive hard in reciting the Qur'an, to the extent that some of them would recite the whole Qur'an in one rak'ah. It is reported from Qatada that he used to complete the Qur'an from cover to cover in recitation في سبع, in 7 days. And it would be reported in the month of Ramadan, he would finish it every 3 days. And if the last 10 days of Ramadan entered, he would finish a khatmah from the beginning to the end every night. It was reported to us that Aswad, the great tabi'i, would recite the Qur'an outside of Ramadan every 6 days from cover to cover. And he would recite in the month of Ramadan the Qur'an from cover to cover every 2 nights. وَكَانَ يَنَامُ بَيْنَ الْمَغْرِبِ وَالْعِشَاءِ, and he used to sleep from the time he breaks his iftar from Maghrib up until Isha, and then he would be back to it, praying the night and reciting Qur'an. We have the report that mentions at the deathbed of Abu Bakr ibn Ayyash, his sister began to cry. And so he says to her, "Why are you crying? Indeed your brother," meaning himself, "finished the Qur'an in that corner over there. 18,000 khatmahs. 18,000 completions of recitation of the Qur'an from cover to cover." Having instilling that hope that this good deed of completing the Qur'an at the end of his life, that he reminds himself of this good hope and that he shares this, something that is mashru'. And then we have Abu Bakr ibn al-Haddad, from the great students after the golden generation. He says that I took upon myself that which has been narrated from Rabi', the student of Imam al-Shafi'i, that he narrated Imam al-Shafi'i would recite the Qur'an and complete 60 khatmahs, 60 khatmahs of the Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. That means he would recite the whole Qur'an at least twice every day in order to complete that. And so he said, I took it upon myself to do that which Imam al-Shafi'i performed. And so he tells us of his experience of him trying and attempting to catch up with Imam al-Shafi'i in this. And he says that the most I was able to do in the month of Ramadan was 59 khatmahs. I could only do 59 khatmahs. He's only missing 1 khatmah from 60. And he said outside of Ramadan, I was able to only do 30 khatmahs outside of Ramadan. What a tremendous feat and goal and lofty goal that is to have. So where are those that have lofty goals today? Where are those that are trying to emulate Imam al-Shafi'i? Where are those that can complete more than 60 khatmahs in the month of Ramadan? We should have high goals. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِذَا سَأَلْتُمْ, if you ask, then ask for Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la, ask for the highest of Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la. And so if you set a target and you are able, set the highest goal that you can achieve. As much completions and khatmahs of the Qur'an as possible. A person might ask and they might say, how is it possible that a person recites the Qur'an this much? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not recite the Qur'an in less than 3 days to understand it. Then Hafidh ibn Rajab and other scholars, they discuss the the gathering of this ahadith and the action of the Sahaba, which is that outside of Ramadan, a person shouldn't complete the Qur'an from cover to cover in less than 3 days consecutively. يعني ديمة, something that is regular for him that he finishes in less than 3 days, because he will not be able to ponder over it and have fiqh and understanding of it. But then Hafiz ibn Hajar mentions that if the awqat al-fadilah, if those times that are virtuous enter, like the month of Ramadan, like the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, or you go to places that have virtue, that are sacred, like Mecca or Medina, then you are able to recite the Qur'an in less than 3 days. Because this is a mawsam, a season of khair, opportunity and working hard and striving. And so that limitation of 3 days is removed, and this is the action of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and those that came after them. And so there's no mani' in this month of Ramadan that a person strives hard, sets lofty goals, and spends every second that he can spare to reciting the Qur'an. When he's commuting, when he is walking to the masjid, exiting from the masjid, waking up in the morning, waking up before Fajr by an hour after resting enough, and in the last 10 staying up the whole night hoping to catch Laylatul Qadr. Every minute outside of prayer that you recite the Qur'an. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal for tawfiq, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal for sadad, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us to recite the Qur'an as much as we are able to earn these rewards in these blessed days and blessed nights. Allahu a'lam, wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad.